I need to change the filter on my pond pump today, so I thought in the event that you are interested in having a patio pond that you might want to see how I do it. I have two forms of filtration in this pond. We have a mechanical filter, which means that's the actual machine, the pump that you buy from the store and plug in, and the pump sucks in water and pushes it out through a tube, and that tube comes out over here in the bog filter. It is full of various types of media. It has larger pieces of media like chunks of bricks and stone and rock, at the bottom bigger pieces, and then the pieces get smaller as they go up so that the water is getting gradually filtered as it rises up through the bog filter. This is my first year creating one of those, and I learned how to build it from this lovely person on YouTube, Ozponds. Highly recommend watching his videos to learn how to build one of these. It works really well. It is very clearly my first time making one, so I have some ideas to tweak it in the future. All that aside, what I'm doing today is simply replacing the homemade filter that I have made for my pump, so the mechanical end of my filter system. So if you can see, this is the tubing that the water is going through, and then this tube comes up through and loops around down back here, and then it is going into the bog filter over here. So what I'm going to do before I pull the pump out of the water is unplug it. And we're waiting for the water to stop flowing here. So we can see that's gradually slowing down. Get that algae out of there. And so now I know the pump is off. And the reason you want to turn it off before you pull it out of the water is because the mechanics in it are not meant to run dry. So if you don't unplug it before you pull it out, you can burn out the motor. Just gotta reach under here, under all the plants. Move my lily pads out of the way. Ooh, these are all roots from this canna. And look, you can even see the roots have grown into the filter. Cool. All right, so here we have the pump, and you can buy fancy intake bays and filter systems for your pumps. I have gone the cheap and simple method. So this is a little organizer basket from the dollar store. On top are a bunch of rocks, which I'm going to set aside. It does stink a little bit, but it's really not too bad. And this is the best part. This is my filter, and as you can see, it's been doing its job. It's full of muck and fish shit and all sorts of good things. I just set it around the base of one of my plants, and then they will receive all the wonderful fertilizer. Once this has dried out and been a little bit washed out, then I can toss it out, but it will get a lot of good use before it goes in the garbage. So I'm going to set this aside. And now you can see I just have the pump here, and it has little suction cup feet, so it is suction cup to the bottom of this dollar store organizer basket. And at the bottom here, there is sort of a grating, and that's really all of the filtration that is part of this pump. And so the reason that I have built an extra filter system around it is to keep this from getting plugged up as often. And then what I use for a finer filtration is something that's also very cheap. That is this. This is quilt batting, basically. So you can get this at Walmart for a couple bucks. It comes in a big sheet like this. And all I do is cut a chunk out of it. All right. So now I've cut a smaller square out of my quilt batting, and all I do is fold it down a couple times, and this is going to tuck around my pump. And I want to prioritize getting the quilt batting around the little grates on the pump, because that will help block larger chunks of debris from clogging up the pump. So I just tuck it around like this. And then where my rocks come in is to just keep the quilt batting from floating up. Once it starts getting waterlogged and gets full of stuff, it will stay down just fine. And then I'm going to put it back in the pond. So this will initially kick up some mud and debris from the bottom of the pond, but it should settle after a little while, and then that will help to clear up our water a little bit more. So let's turn it back on. And so that should start pumping again and should come back out of our little waterfall in just a second here. And there we go. Everything's up and running again. So you can see, having a little patio pond like this is pretty easy to maintain. You can get a good balance of biological and mechanical filtration. This will run happily all summer. I've only had to change the filter around the pump I think this is the third time. And like I said, the polyfill only costs about $5. And the pump itself is a little, kind of the smallest size of pond pump that was at Menards, and that was less than $20. So this is a very cheap system to set up and maintain. Enjoy your pond.